It's better a person is overzealous than not even being zealous at all. At least when the person is overzealous, be able to tame the person and say, okay, come do it this way. I saw a carton of cigarettes. So somehow there were still 2 sticks left in it. So I picked it because then in the house, children will roll paper because we see it. So, so I'm already used to doing that. My growing up was really, really, really. So seeing that cigarette, opportunity, I quickly grabbed it. I got home. I went behind the house. I smoked. Yes, I smoked. 2 sticks. Before you know it,
Two of them.
Yes. Before you know it, I started buying. And my parents didn't know this. There is no home without two couples coming together. They are the ones that makes up a home.
Yeah.
And like we've had so many ministers of God say, never you marry. When you want to marry, don't just think you are marrying a husband. Note that you are also going to marry a father
for your children.
Likewise, a mother
to your children.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live podcast, Your Safe Space. My name is Mercy Jumbo, and with me here is my co-host,
Rusola Chair.
All right, today we have a very special guest in the house, the person of Pastor Mrs. Grace Temitope Akinsuroju. You're very welcome, Ma. We're very glad to have you today.
Thank you.
All right, Ma, to begin with, I would love you to tell us about yourself, about your background, how you grew up. Yes, introduce yourself to us.
All right.
To our viewers.
Thank you so much for this privilege. My name is Grace Temitope Akinsuroju. I am the first child of Pastor and Mrs. Daniel Abiola. I grew up, I'm the first child of 5 children. I was born and bred up in Kano. I schooled, all my education is in BUK, both nursery, primary, secondary, and university, because my dad was a lecturer then in BUK, the civil engineering department. So the first child of 5 children, by God's grace. I am married. This year I'll be clocking 20 years in marriage.
Wow.
So I have 3 wonderful nations, 2 boys and a girl. But my first child is 18 plus, will be 19 soonest. Then the next 16 going to 17. Next month we'll clock 17. And the baby of the house, she's just 10. She clocked 10 in January this year. So, and by God's grace, I'm married to Reverend Victor Akinsuroju. He's the regional overseer of Foursquare Gospel Church, Northwest Region. I don't know. That will do.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Ma.
you, ma'am.
Okay. Can you dive a little bit into back then, growing up? How was it like? How was childhood? How was teenage life like for you? And especially as a pastor's child, how's it like growing up?
All right. By God's grace, I'll be simple and open at the same time, truthful, because I want to believe that this program or this shoot is mainly meant to help the younger generation, and so we mustn't shy away from our mistakes so that others can learn. By God's grace, my dad was not just, I didn't meet him as a pastor. It was later that maybe because of his growing up, my growing up, that he was ordained as a pastor by God's grace. But I used to know him as a powerful worker, servant who loves the Lord. And so, by God's grace, in Kano, he served in PFN as one of their executives, CAN as one of their executives, and then in Bible Society of Nigeria. In fact, he grew to the level of the national ESCO. So I'm just saying that so that It was as we were climbing, as we were growing up, that I started climbing the cave. But growing up, I grew up in not quite a friendly environment as a child, very tense environment. My parents were Christians, in quotes, and that was why I said they were serving the Lord. But growing up, I grew up to into a home that is a bit turbulent. As in, my parents did not have a good marriage at all. Right from when I was a child, I've never seen them sit together, talk, as husband and wife, have discussion. In fact, as a child, nothing that I can point to that this is how I desire or want my home to be like. Even growing up, there is nothing I would say um it's something I want to emulate sincerely. My dad is late now. I think he died 5 6 years ago, but my mom is still alive. She's 73 now by God's grace.
Wow.
But growing up, I my growing up was not so sweet.
Smooth.
It's something that I will never pray. And that, in fact, that is one of the things that kept me moving and got me into the ministry of talking to teenagers, because I knew what I grew up to meet and the challenges of life. And like I do tell people, there is no excuse for failure. If some of us that are still here today, we are still vaccinating and moving stronger in the Lord, then there's no excuse for anyone not to. So my growing up was really awkward. Let me share an experience I had. Then in our days, it's not like now that it's me, my family, and I. Then, my dad used to be the third born of a large family, and he was the first educated among his siblings, and he grew up from a royal home. So, he became like a star. Everybody wants their children to come around him. They want them to help adopt. And so my dad did that. In fact, he served family sincerely. I saw him serving his family members to make sure that everybody. But I remember then we brought in two of our cousins from the village who came around to live with us, and in a way, they were guys, boys. So in a way, somehow they started teaching me how to steal. Yes, how to steal. As in, then in BUK news site, I grew up in BUK news site. Then I was small. I think I can remember maybe the age of 6, 7, 8, thereabout. They will put me across their neck and take me to some of the buildings around, maybe lecturers that have gone to work. They will cut the net, tell me to jump in and pick things. With that on regular basis, I was becoming, like I used to tell teenagers, I say, if not God that accosted me on the way, maybe today I'll be using gun.
Actually, that's right.
Maybe I will be named after Anini to the nights. But and then I was really, really young. I remember there was a time Pastor Solomon came to Kano and he was talking about his life, and I was the pictures started coming back to me. I said, wow. So in life experience, you're not the only one facing some people have gone ahead. So there's nothing new under the heavens. So then I grew up, and before you know it, I became, I don't know how to put it, I started stealing. Then as a lecturer, students, when they vacate from school, they will bring in their loads to our house so that we keep, before they come back, I will have ransacked things that are not necessary, that are not needful. I will just take it. It became a strong spirit. Yes, it's a spirit.
It's a spirit.
It's a spirit. And my parents didn't know this. Do you know that there was a time my dad placed the school fees on his table? School fees at that tender age of 11. And school fees in those days, I don't know what I wanted to do with the money. I grabbed the whole money. I didn't even leave one. Took everything, I now went to eat it under, there is a slab outside the building. So I hid the money there. When they were asking for the money, in fact, those two cousins, they were the ones my daddy dealt with. Because at the end of the day, I now joined to be searching for the money, because I knew where I kept the money. So I now helped to bring out the money and say, Daddy, look at the money you are looking for. Oh my goodness, they dealt with them. May God have mercy on me. I'm just trying to tell you my
Yeah.
for you to know the level in which I've
At
gotten
which,
to.
yeah.
Let me share this last one to just cap up on that. As I was growing up, this I grew up into this my secondary school days, though I was also into, you give your life to Christ, later you get
To
it back.
collect it
You
back.
you understand, off and on like that. But there was a time, was in my SS2. There was one man then in BUK, they call him Ashiru. He owns a kiosk where it's a store, thank you, where he sells things. He was the major dealer then in the BUK University. So somehow I stole sweets, chocolates,
Ah.
like that. You understand? So one
Yeah.
of the mummies there, then we used to call her Mama Lanre. She owns a food canteen. She was the main reason.
To
Yeah.
cut it, that's to say you were stealing for more than 5 years.
Oh my goodness, 5 years was just too small. A number of years then.
Wonderful.
So then I think in the course of that, they got to
Yeah.
know that I took some sweets and chocolates, sort of like that. I imagine the things that one would be stealing there. And they had to, they flogged me openly then and took me. I think the cause of beating me up, somebody saw me and quickly ran to Mama Lanre because our canteen was very close to Ashiru's shop then. So Mama had to run, say, leave her, leave her. I know her. She's a lecturer's daughter. Immediately is a
Daughter.
lecturer's daughter. Mommy had to flog me to my father's office. And students also follow to want to know
What really happened?
what really happened and who is her father. You understand?
Yeah.
It was such an eyesore. But one thing about my dad then was that till tomorrow, my dad is a role model to me. In spite of all, he still believed in me. I'll be sharing some things later. He still believed in me. I'm sorry I'm being emotional. He still believed in me. And I think these are the things that pushed me into the ministry of upholding teenagers, no matter what. This is just one of it. I've had several experiences that, then afterwards I was taken home. Then as a young teenager, breast was already coming out. And I don't know who counseled my mom. Up to date, myself and my mom,
Your relationship is
so.
not close.
So, as a minister, and just have to forgive to let go. But, your experiences will still keep
Yeah.
standing as a barrier, sort of. Yes. So I don't know who counseled her then. When I got home, my mother stripped me naked, as in no pants, no bra. Called all these elementary boys that used to come from Rimingata to circle. They were dancing around me. Barao, she'll be flogging me
Ah.
and telling me to be dancing naked. My siblings were in the house. My father, the mechanic, was there. And I was hearing the voice of my father from the window. Why leave this girl? And this. And, she was flogging me. Then they would be singing Barao. Then she went to the extent of getting dry pepper. This, how do you call it?
Yaji.
Yes. Yes, the brocodo in house. And dry. She grinded it as if the yaji, the normal yaji.
Yes.
Put it on my face, my
Private
private parts. Then she used sharp razor blade. If you check my hand,
Yeah.
still the marks there. Cut, put the pepper, use the pepper all over my body, and thinking that will solve. I intentionally brought this up so that parents will know that it's not about your
Being
harshness
harsh. Yeah.
or your hardness. Like I said at the beginning, that it's a spirit. So it is more of a spiritual
Battle.
warfare. Thank you. A spiritual warfare and battle to come out of this. Even afterwards, that didn't stop me. But in a way, I think somehow I met the Lord Jesus Christ fully under the administration of Bishop Wale Oke. He came to Kano then. Then I was still very young. Came to Kano then. That was when I gave my life to Christ. And that was the period where this yoke of stealing broke out of my life. So I think this is just so many experiences to share, but let me just stop at this. Thank you.
So, in the process of salvation process, how was it like to, one thing I know about this kind of, should I call it bad habit,
Mm.
form of addiction, because stealing can be an
Yeah.
addiction, especially when the spirit is already involved.
Mm.
And I know that it's not something that is easy to stop just in a day because you gave your life to Christ.
Yeah.
So how was it, the process of when you gave your life to Christ, did you just stop stealing immediately, or there was growth?
It didn't just stop immediately. Like I said, even in life, growth is a process that is in stages.
Yeah.
You don't just grow, you don't just give birth to a child today and that child.
Just grow.
That I on Monday I was listening to Daddy Billy Akani and he was saying something. He said it's better a person is overzealous than not even being zealous at all. At least when the person is overzealous, be able to tame the person and say, okay, come do
Yeah.
it this way. So it's better you give your life to Christ and get it back than not giving your
Not
life
give
at
at
least
all.
in a way. Somehow you will later come to because of the
Yeah.
foundation laid. In the course of it, give my life to Christ. After a while, the spirit will come again. You see something. I remember there was a time, let me share this, don't laugh. There was a time during devotional period. After I've given my life to Christ, in devotion, Christmas period then, my mom bought this cow tail, this
Yeah.
bokoto stuff. So they boiled it. So we're doing morning devotion in the morning then, and I had to go steal one of it. Two, put it in my pocket. And during devotion, my dad was praying. Everybody was saying amen. Me, I was
Cutting coyote.
cowtail. Chewing. So I think there's a sound that a cowtail gives. That
Crump,
sound.
crump.
So I think that was I just saw a hand held my hand like this and brought it down. Adura, where we are praying. That day my dad flogged hell out of then that's another experience. I'm trying to tell you that even after I
Yeah.
became sober, I had to cry out for help again. And I remember there was time I was coming back from school, secondary school then. I think I was in my SS3 then. I was just walking, sorry mom. I was just
That's
walking
fine.
and I saw a carton of cigarettes. So somehow there were still two sticks left in it. So I picked it because then in the house, children will roll
Paper.
because we see it. So
Yes.
so I'm already used to doing that. My growing up was really, really, really.
Mm.
So seeing that cigarette, opportunity, I quickly grabbed it. I got home. I went behind the house. I smoked.
Ha.
Yes, I smoked. Two sticks. Before you know
The
it,
two of them.
yes. Before you know it, I started buying,
Ah.
and my parents didn't know this. So that's why today, when I see people that are addicted, that's why I have a ministry for them. I have flair for them. The people that are addicted into drugs or whatever, I don't castigate them because we were once there. It was
Yeah.
mercy that bailed us out. So, then I just like even to you, I'll be blowing the smoke, feeling high.
Feeling
as if-
yourself.
Then as a child, and my parents never knew this. But along the line, that is why God is God. He's not a man that will just say, give your life to me once, and that is all. Even in the course of your falling, his arms are always wide to accept you back, in as much as you recognize that you need his help. So one thing is that I have come to recognize that I can't be saved by my own strength. It takes his help. And that is one thing that, like Papa Idausa will always say, that is a cry that God will never despise, the cry for help. Yes, he says, even though a righteous man falls 7 times, can you imagine? 7 times, not even once, that you will surely rise again. You will still, yes, yes, you will rise again. So,
That's been it.
Alright,
Thank you.
this shows that to many of us that fall once or twice and feel like God should be tired of me by now. So some of us will just, I got to that point where I felt, okay, let me just continue living the life like that. I think God will be tired of me. And I got to realize that if I just come to ask for mercy, it feels like God has been waiting for me since
that's
Yeah.
true. That's true. Yeah.
so that you fall doesn't mean you should remain on the ground. Stand up and move on. There is a lot that God wants to do with
More in
you.
your
Ask
life.
God for help
Yeah.
and move on.
That's
Right.
true.
Yes, thank you so much
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
that.
Thank you.
All right, talking about your parents, with what you said, I I sense that your dad a good father, but were they busy with work or busy with church activities, the things of God, that made them not to notice at all. Mommy didn't notice, daddy did not notice that you were going through, or you were passing through all of those things. And that this is just you. We don't know what your younger ones had, what they were going through as well. Were they busy parents? Were they working, or what was the pitfalls? What was this thing?
All right, thank you. But as the firstborn, that's why I have so much passions for firstborns, because most times you see firstborns, we always use them as a test and is it trial thing.
Yeah.
So because you asked the question that what about my siblings? You know, relationship, there is no home without two couples coming together. They are the ones that makes up a home.
Yeah.
And like we've had so many ministers of God say, never you marry, when you want to marry, don't just think you are marrying a husband. Note that you are also going to marry
A father
a father
for your children.
children. Likewise, a mother.
To your children.
So I think where the problem lied then with my parents was the fact that the two of them were not in harmony at all. They were not. They were having misunderstanding. Oh my goodness. That's why I said there's no time. If not, I remember there was a time I was admitted in BUK clinic for a whole month. Why? The two of them, they were fighting. I'm not talking of vocal now, physical.
Exchanging blows.
To the extent that they will use cutlass. And what do you call this thing?
Pestle.
Pounding. For pounding. So I think in one of the days, my dad, I don't know, either my dad or my mom, sincerely, I can't really pick, and that is why I said firstborns. When you have issues like this, you are the one that is always on the receiving. That's it. If the man is angry, he pours the anger on you. If the woman is angry, you are always on the receiving end. So then I was trying to say to them, as young as I was then, trying to, before you know it, I just knew that I was on the ground, and that was all. It was later I got to realize that one of them used the
pestle
on me. And so sincerely, how I am presently a normal person is just by grace, because then the doctors were saying blood in the brain. 1 month I was admitted in the hospital. So I'm trying to tell you that it's not as if they don't have time. My dad really had time. Then there was no lesson teacher. My dad used to be my lesson teacher. He would take out time. He comes home in time. In fact, it's the garage where he parks his car. On the wall, he painted it black where he was teaching us. It was later when I was about to write my WAEC that I had to employ a teacher, an external hand to help out. But he really had time. But I think the main problem then is just that the couples, my parents, and that is why I'm so passionate in speaking to young couples that this thing called marriage is not just the ring.
Yeah.
Or the wedding gown. It's a life. And even if you don't even care about yourself, for the sake of the children. Because we all give accounts to God on the last day, how we helped him raise those children. And one good thing about my dad that I so much respect in the course of all that, it got to a stage in my life that my dad called me. I think when he started observing that, then I think I was in my level 2 or 3 in BUK. So he observed that, big girl is coming, and he had to call me one day. And he told me, I wish parents could be like that. He said a word. He said, I know I have failed in my responsibility as a father, giving you a godly template of what a godly home should be. My father is my role model. Because for you to have a father who will open up to tell you and own up. In fact, whatever is driving or pushing me today is because of that man. And he said, I know I have failed. I know I have not been a responsible father. I've not done what I ought to do. And anytime he talks to me, he doesn't talk to me about my mom. He takes the responsibility for everything. And, then he had to hand me over. I will mention some names today. He handed me over to Pastor Victor Akure of Turning Points. Then daddy used to be a chaplain in BUK outside. He handed me over to himself and the wife, where he failed. Then aside from that, I observed my dad expose me to reading of books. He started buying books on relationship, just to try to augment and cover up. Yes, he bought books, journals. Then my dad, today when people say, mommy, you love the body of Christ, you're always everywhere. My dad exposed me to that, because then it was always taking me for programs. In fact, that was where I got to know that the Bolu Martins, then when he was the Bishop of the Living Faith, he exposed me there. Anytime the youths are having programs, he would take me there just to learn. Then I started hearing others that are succeeding in their marriages. I started picking interest that, yes, God can still do something with my life. Yes, make beautiful my life with whatever is going on. And let me just say something here. It's like I used to tell teenagers when I'm talking to them. Thank God for our parents. I want to believe that if our parents knew better, they would have treated us well. Sincerely.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Today, you see this word called forgiveness. It's very easy to say. But when it comes to living the life, you can easily say, forgive somebody that steals your pencil or your eraser. But what about somebody that raped your child, defied you? You understand that kind of, it takes God. It got to a stage where my dad was on the sick bed. In fact, before then, anytime I have issues with my mom, then I will ask my dad, are you sure this woman is my real mother? Are you sure she gave birth to me? Let me share an experience with you. In fact, something that is bringing tears to my eyes is that our scars are testimonies. There is no experience that God is not allowing you go through just for a wastage. He has his reason why he's allowing you. So seeing me saying this today, I think that is what is helping me to become who I am.
Who you are.
I remember then my dad and my mom had issues and they were arguing. And as a child, and I think it should serve as a lesson to mothers, what I want to say specifically. As a child, when you are growing up, mothers tend to pump negative words into a child against their father.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you are so naive, don't know what mommy says. If you ask any child today, who is your best between daddy and mom, they'll tell you mommy. It's always mommy.
Yeah.
But as a child is growing, and you begin to see, there is always a period where you begin to see where the hearing of the ear no longer works for you. It is with the eyes. So then, I started growing up. I started seeing that what my mom used to tell me then about my dad
Was wrong.
was totally opposite and different. So then, I became like a kind of mouthpiece and a voice and a defense for my father. My father is a socialite. I picked after my father. My father is this, very friendly and loving.
An extrovert.
So an extrovert, thank you. So I now started rising up. You see, today when I'm bold, people say I'm bold, I'm courageous, I'm this. It's life experience. It's life.
Yeah.
So I started speaking up for my father, started defending my father. Then I now became a rival to my mom. Ma, you won't be, I'm going to say some things. I became a rival that I started asking, am I the real wife of my father or what? And moreover, the first child that is a girl to the father, naturally there's this bond. So then if my father and my mother is like, instead of my father talking, I'm the one that will come up and will be defending my dad and like that. So it got to a stage, I never knew that my mom was already piling up all this. So she went far then to church, CAC 8 King. That's where I grew up. That's the church I attended. When they destroyed my image that my father was sleeping with me.
That was too extreme.
That
was too extreme.
That's why I said, if she had known better, I know. When they said my father was having an affair with me, left there, came to the university environment, destroyed my dad's personality, his image with myself, that the same report she was giving in the church, just to. And she never knew then that was even heaping up more hatred, bitterness,
For her.
and anger for her. Because I have a girl child today. I can't imagine myself doing that. So that was why I kept asking my father, are you sure you did not adopt me? Are you sure this woman is my...
The real
Then, you know,
mother.
it got to a stage. Let me share this because I'm still going to talking about some things later. I remember, was it my level 4? When I was rounding up my university program then. They had some issues. In fact, their life made me, you know, I that used to be an extrovert. Suddenly, I became an introvert. You know, I wasn't able to mingle with friends. I'll be feeling as if my friends were knowing what was going on. Then, you know, the way BUK structure was, if you are shouting in your house, they echo. If I'm coming from school, maybe with friends, and I hear their voice, I will just divert. I'll say, no, my parents, you know, I'll just say something so
Yeah.
that my friends will not know what's going on.
Anything.
So I remember there was a time that my mom, I can't really remember what happened, but I know it's between herself and my dad. I stood up that day. I knew that I behaved like a wild animal then because I was so mad at her. So my mom stripped herself naked. No bra, no pants. I'm trying to tell you, it's naked as in naked. Took her wedding Bible, used it to eat her private parts, and laid a curse on me. And she said, listen, she said 2 things, major things that are profound. She said, because you never gave me peace in my husband's house, I never gave her peace in her husband's house, that I will never have peace in my marriage. Number 1. Then number 2, she said, I will never have a child or children that I will call my own mother. And, you know, that even, you know, brought about more it because will I point to her as my mom? And lo and behold, when I wanted to marry, I'm alive. She was alive. She's alive. Not even was. She's still alive. The wedding day of everyone. I want to believe one of your prayers is that, Lord, on the day of my joy, when my children are celebrating wedding, that's your day.
Yeah.
My mom was intentionally absent. She did not come. And my younger sister that sat in, you know, then our younger sister was telling me that, don't worry, if she doesn't want to, we will sit with you. She sat there 3 months after the wedding, she died. 3 months after my wedding, she died. When I gave birth to my 3 children, my mom was not around. And sincerely, I won't even blame her because if she had come around, I won't allow her. That's true. Because your prayer then was that I wouldn't have children. So what is the joy? Then what are you coming to do? Thank God for church members. That is why, you know, when some people say church people, for me, thank God for our church members. I have some mommies then that helped me. They were the one that did the God took care of me. She was not present. So, but today, that's why I said that if our parents had known better, today, my mom calls me mommy. She came to Kano some time back. Some of my younger ones are still presently in Kano, married. So one of them gave birth. So she had to come to, when she came visiting us, because then I was even dodging, I did not want her to come to the house. But somehow my husband had to say, let her come. She came. She knelt down with her 2 knees to greet me. I had to lift her up. My husband had to lift her up. Mommy, you don't kneel down for your child. She said, let me kneel down. You know, our parents, maybe because of the age or the mentality, African mentality, they might not come to tell you that directly, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
But in their actions, it shows. She knelt down with her 2 legs. And anytime she's talking to me, she will say, Mommy, wa. That's what she calls me. She can't do anything today now. But sincerely, I must tell you, it's still affecting the closeness. You know, the way I would have loved the bond. Somehow it's affecting. I have to be open. I'm forgiving her truly. I'm a child of God. I can't be preaching on the pulpit and having, for years, I had bitterness. sincerely. It affected my relationship with God that one day the Lord had to come to meet me. And he told me, he said, do you know you are stagnating your life with this bitterness? And he put me through the life of Job. And he said, until Job prayed for his friends, there was no restoration. So it was when Job prayed. I remember the day my dad was to be buried and she came. I stood my ground. This is just 6-7 years ago. So you know, I still around the corner.
Yeah.
I stood my ground that she was not going to pour sand on the man. Because when my dad relocated, one day she just woke up in the house. Then I that was my service years. I went to serve in Benue State. And I just received a call from my siblings that she packed her load and left the house. Nobody sent her away. She just packed. And since then, she left that man alone. So my dad, even when he retired, moved down south, he was living alone. And so one of the days, nobody has him, no house help. And my dad is a strong person. We even got him a house help. He said, no, he doesn't want that. He can cook by himself. He's okay. And somehow, in one of the days, he fell down. In the midnight, he went to ease himself. And that was how for 2 days he was on the ground. We never knew.
Nobody
I was just
knew.
calling. Yes. I was just calling just to hear his voice for 2 days. In fact, I had to call my younger one that is close to his vicinity to quickly run. It was when they got there. Thank God the curtain in his room, a part was
Open.
That was where they saw him on the ground. Picking his phone, they saw 186 missed calls. That means people that have been calling, including mine, to know that. So, our absence in the man's life also brought about his early death. My dad at age 70 also brought about his early death demise. So, when I look at all these things, it's like, sincerely, one thing, let me just round up with this. One thing the Holy Spirit is that how I will really get to know that you are forgiving your mom is by picking out lessons from her life. And that's why I keep telling our mothers of today's generation, it will be an error for you to repeat the same mistakes. We're very good at, just like what I've said now. You see now, it's as if I'm nailing her, as if I should grab her, strangle her. But what lessons? It's an error for us to repeat the same pattern. Then we are the greatest of all, the most miserable. So, with all these experiences, you see, that is why every day I keep thanking God for my past. Though it was not, it's now that I'm thanking God, then it was not, sincerely. It got to a stage in my life, I wanted to commit suicide twice. This BUK road that you are seeing, that new site road, now it's dualized, very wide. Then it was just very narrow. I stood in the middle of the road one day. I closed my eye, did like this, waiting for any bus to wipe me off the road. I always share these testimonies when I'm talking to teenagers. And the thing that opened my eyes then was a hot slap. I think the bus had to park. In fact, they flogged me home. Then there was a time I took heaps of different drugs to use. I was admitted in the hospital at Minukano, and I was told then that I will not be able to have children because, according to them, it ruptured so many things. That my life is just a testimony. I am alive today by God's mercy. And that is why I made up my mind that my experience, both the good, the bad, and the ugly, I won't hide it or shy away from it, telling my generation how God has helped me. So when people are celebrating this, I say, this woman, this and that, there's always a scar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow.
What's your mom made me remember I am my mom. It was so bad that I had to, when they call altar call and you go and give your life to Christ, that was how I had to go out and pray to God to help me forgive my mom. Because it was so bad. She was not the problem, I would say it was my dad. Got to a point that he was accusing me of something very terrible that I did. And I was very young, very, very young, like 13, 14 years. And what he was accusing me of is more than sleeping with a guy. I was trying to wrap my head around it. It was new, and they accused you of doing that thing. The confusion, first of all, trying to understand what they are talking about, and then trying to say you are not doing it. Yes, and then due to these Boko Haram issues, my mom they relocated. So I told my mom about it because my dad was punishing me, beating me. Sometimes when I close from school, coming back home, I'll be scared. He beat me up a lot of things. And when I heard my mom was coming back, I was happy. I felt okay. When she comes, this thing will reduce. At least I can talk to my mother. She will understand, and she can protect me from him, seeing that she's a woman and she should know me better. And when she came back, my dad stopped me from sleeping together with my younger ones. So I was sleeping in the parlor when my younger ones sleep in the room because he believed that I was going to spoil them. So every night I sleep on the couch in the room, in the parlor. So that night I stayed in the room and I said whatever will happen that night. And I confronted my dad. And he beat me up in the midnight. I was wanting my mom to protect me and she was pushing me outside to my dad. She was like, that thing they're accusing you of, are you sure you are not doing it? It broke me because I felt like she was my only hope. And she coming back and that was it, betrayal, and I was bittered. I was angry at her from 14 years till my 200 level in university. I didn't want to have anything. I literally forget that. I was angry with my dad, but the pain I had towards my mom was different. It was very different. I did not have, even till now, my dad is late. But it was when my dad died, I got to realize that me and my mom are not actually close. We didn't have any relationship. I can stay 1 week without calling her, and I'm fine. It was then I realized that we were not close because I was pained. But with time, I realized that she was scared. She was scared of my dad, and she was in a tight corner. She did not know what to do. So she believed that siding him or taking his side would have been better for me and for her and for him and protecting her marriage. But it was a pain. And even till now, we are fine. But I can't find myself holding any healthy relationship with my mom because I feel like she cannot understand. So I think I can relate with that. It's actually something very painful. And even if the forgiveness, I've forgiven her, I love her so much. I protect her, I don't want anything. She's my only parent. If she falls sick like this, you see me running up. I don't, but that connection is not there. It's not there anymore because of some experiences that
In the course of my journey, I had to even tell my children then that just because I don't want my children to be part of the trauma that I grew up with, grandchildren, I don't want them to come into an unhealthy environment, family. So I had to start telling my children, I had to start lying to them that my mom died. Not even my children alone, sincerely. I was telling everybody, it's only all you are always talking about. In this situation, you're always talking about your dad. Is your mom? Me, I used to say yes. My mom is late. It's of recent that my children, they not as teenagers, you can't hide things from them. So I had to start opening up to tell them. In fact, one day my daughter was asking me that, mommy, is your mommy, did she fall from heaven? She was asking, how does she look like? Because I made them more to their daddy's side than my own side. Maybe later when we are talking, I'll be talking more on this sibling rivalry. See, when parents have issues, it affects everything around the child. It got to a stage that I became like the bad egg. My siblings, we are five. The three of them, because our last born then he was still very young.
He wasn't aware.
So he wasn't aware. But you see, the three, oh my goodness. I was to the extent that two of them wanted to wed. They didn't tell me. I heard from somebody outside. She built, my mom caused a lot of havoc. And sincerely, I believe that she's regretting it. Sincerely.
I and my younger ones, we were almost like that. Like I started growing hatred. The good thing is that we found God early.
That's it.
We found God very early. Because me sleeping in the parlor and they in the room, they already had this idea that I am somebody they should stay away from. So sometimes if they are talking and I come in, they will withdraw. And I already grew hatred. I hated the whole situation. I hated them. Like any little thing they even do to me, I want to pounce on them. So there was already
Just to
this.
get the anger.
They were very careful with me because they saw me as a bad egg, and my dad tells them directly, these people should
Don't
be.
have anything to do with that.
He believes that son don't spoil, then he can keep these ones, and so that was how they saw me. So we were not close. It was with time. Thank God for God. We found God, and at least we are still young, so we could build.
Build up the relationship.
Yes, if not,
Build the world.
if not for God, I don't know how we would still be by now, because I was already growing hatred, and
That's
they
the
were
word,
careful
God.
with me. So it's God. It's God.
You know, while you're talking about forgiveness, I I knew that it's a journey, this forgiveness of a thing, but it's just as you kind of brought a reminder, and like a voice reminding me that I'm still on that journey. You know, yours was your mom and mine was my dad. I hated them, you know, and looking at, I had this high expectations for my dad, but he just, my dad was, I don't know what to call him. You know, at a point he was, the time I got to spend with him, he was very, permit me to use the word, terrible. My dad would be leaving the house. He would drop 13 naira. That 13 naira, my mom used to buy cocoa and kose, and it won't be enough.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Sorry. So she would just feed me with it and stay hungry. And he took us to one of the, I don't think that is rural. I think rural area is even better. Let me say forest part of Abuja. So it was really bad. After he leaves the house, my mom will go inside the bush so she can get what we eat. I don't know how she does it, but she will just, I don't know, she will just pick this, come back, and a pot of soup is ready. She asks the neighbors and then make swallow. Still keep for this pan. When he comes back, he'll come home very drunk. And he'll be like, woman, this is not what I want. With 13 naira you kept in the house. He will just kick the food, something that my mom suffered. And before she would say Jack Robinson, she have collect blow. He will so beat her that night. And I'll be there. He was just very, I don't know. That one is not village people. He was just wicked. He knew what he was doing. I wasn't having slippers to put on. You know, there's this car, like a truck, that goes to cities to pack waste bin. So I think they do come every Thursday to throw the dustbin close to where we were living. Whenever we sight that car, we know that there's something we'll get. I and the kids around. That was all.
Let's go. Let's go. Dangerous.
When they offload the stuff, we'll go to the dustbin, pick reasonable stuff, right? That was how bad. And it wasn't like he wasn't having money. The money was, whenever he comes back, he's counting the money, he will back us. And the house we were even living, it wasn't a house, it was a shop, no windows. My mom had to use a knife to like hit the wall because it was the hot, the heat was too much. It was a whole lot. Whenever he leaves the house, people we don't even know, my mom is trying to find something that I will eat, she will eat. She's even more concerned about me. Strange people will just come and start insulting my mom that my dad is owing them. It was really bad. Every day he beats my mom. He did not bother about me going to school. It was just my mom that was struggling. She had to enroll me in a school that was, they constructed it with sack. I don't know. I don't just know how she does it. But it was terrible. The relationship wasn't there. I think the only time that he carries me is when he's out of cash. Why? How does he do it? And why does he carry me? He will first of all take me to beer parlor, drink to stupor. I don't even know how we walk. That's why up to today I can trek for Africa. I don't find it hard to trek. Like, I don't get tired. We would trek and while trekking, I won't eat. He would just ask the woman to give me one thing to drink, and that thing makes me very hungry. And I will drink. If not, he will pounce on me. And then when we go, while we're trekking, he'll be meeting his area guys. This is my daughter. This is my daughter. This is my daughter. They will now she's grown. They will give me money. We collect it.
What a strategy.
That was how we round almost the whole, should I call it Abuja now? And then when we come back, he will collect. Before we even get to the house, we will collect the money. It was really, I had this hatred for him. It was really bad. Nothing. He was just, I don't know. And with all of this, my mom still respected him. You know, it was as if we were going to lose our lives. We had to flee. We had to leave him because there's a whole lot that I'm just even trying to not talk about because I don't want to float this place with. You see? And I was deceiving myself, telling myself that I've forgiven him. I've forgiven him. Where things got worse was one time, I don't know how he got my contact. He called me and I was trying to make him understand. He just started raising his voice at me. Are you talking to me like that? Are you talking to your father? I was like, this man don't know what he do. He's not even aware. He lived a very reckless life. We entered this area today. They are calling him son. I just got to know my father's name.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know his name because I'm bearing my grandfather's. We entered this area today. They are calling him Samuel. We entered this one. They are calling him Abubakar. We enter another and they are calling him another native name. That was how he was. You know, so when I got to know God and I'll be praying, it was very hard, even up until now. You know, I was having a conversation with someone one time and the person was like, is your dad going to come for your wedding? I don't know, we're talking about some. I said, God forbid, I rather not have a dad. Just do it like that. So one time I was praying and I was praying for everybody in the family and like mentioning everybody's name. And when I got to his part, in my mind, I was like, wherever he is, he should just die. And I was like, outside, I was like, I never knew, then I did not understand God, that God saw our hearts. Then outside, I was like, God bless him. I just passed. But deep down, wherever he is, that man should just die. So, one time, I thought of forgiving him. My mom called and we're talking, just gisting about life, how life has been tough. And that's why, even though sometimes my mom annoys me, I still love that woman. She tried. Even with all those struggles, we came back. She had to pick herself. She still puts me in one of the best schools. So this English people are saying, all thanks to my mom.
God bless her.
So
Thank you, mommy.
she still tried her best, you know, and we're talking and we brought my daddy's issue. And I was telling her, did you know how you suffered? How that man beat you? And the next thing that came out of my mom's mouth, she was like, forgive him. I said, I looked at the phone. I said, she know be this woman collect beating. No be this woman suffer for. And she was like, forgive.
Direct
I said,
recipients.
mommy. She said, forgive him. If I can forgive him, I said, you see, so I'm still finding it very hard, though. I won't lie, because whenever they are saying your enemy should die, the first person I'm picturing is my father. But it's, you know, and if you don't forgive, you know, you holding grudges or you holding bitterness, it's just like you drinking poison.
That's true.
And expecting You feel
It's
you're
stagnating yourself.
rounding
Yes,
a
yes.
circle.
That's
You're
true.
just
That's
going in a
true.
circular motion. You're not evolving.
That's true.
Whenever when I got, it was very hard. When I got to let him, like, just let it go. It was a tough one.
Mm.
I don't know how the social media do it. That's when they will not be sending things of father. As you scroll one, you see a father showing love to it, and I will just be
It's God.
crying.
It's God. It's God.
Seriously. So, and I'm still in the journey. I can't say I have let I have let go, but
Not
I
fully.
haven't forgotten. The hurt is still there. But you will do yourself a big favor if you forgive. Because number one, you're freeing yourself. You're releasing yourself, doing yourself good. But it's very hard. Thank you, ma.
Let me say something on
Thank
this
you.
forgiving and forgetting. It's to forget might be a bit challenging. Let me give you an instance. I was talking to you now. I had to show you the scar. Does that mean I've not forgotten? But it's there.
Yeah.
Somebody even met me sometime when I was invited to a church to speak to the teenagers. And sincerely, one thing that gives me courage in these assignments is that the more I spill it out, the more souls are won to the
Yeah.
kingdom. You see teenagers, you even see, there was one in a church, a married woman, already having 4 kids. In fact, I was still ministering, sharing my experience when she came out. And with that, see so many people. That was when I knew that I was not the only one in this journey of unforgiveness. So
Yeah.
many persons. So to forget, it's not that so. There are some experiences of life that it's not so easy to erase, sincerely, but forgiveness is a must. But that act of not forgetting is not that you will now be using it to hurt the person or speak ill. It's
Yeah.
rather for you to help others, just like what we are doing now. It doesn't mean
Yeah.
that I'm not forgiving, but there are
Yeah.
some experiences that as it keeps coming, anytime you remember, God, and look at now me be this now.
Let me
Oh,
be this.
so that's just so talking of forget. I just have to say that so that you won't feel bad if at
Yeah.
times some things come back to your memory. At times you need them, but just make sure that your walk with God and your heart is really
Yeah.
pure and clean within.
Seen I watching a video by Pastor Femi Lazarus, and I will never forget. He said the Bible tells us to forgive, but he has not seen where the Bible says forgive and forget. What is important is for you to forgive, and whenever you remember and you realize that it still hurts, forgive again. That forgiveness is not a one-day thing at all. It's a process. So as long as you remember, you still get hurt, continue to forgive. Make it something that you do consciously until one day you remember and you laugh about it and you thank God for it. And I think we are still going through the process until we get to that point where we think about some things and we laugh about it. Yes, thank you so much, Ma, for we have cried. No, they should bring mop and mop this place. Tears everywhere. Right, thank you so much. And I trust that the viewers out there, I know that you've learned so much. You learned about forgiveness, and you know that you are not alone in this journey. We all have gone through so much. And yes, and whatever you're going through, make sure that it is not, should I put it, it's not for, permit me to use the word, it's not in vain. Believe that there are people that will be blessed by this story. There are people that you will save that wouldn't have to go through what you are going through because you are in the process. All right. So there's a quote I saw. The person said, "God didn't bring you here just to bring you here. Yeah. He has placed you there for a reason." So yes, whatever you're going through, pick up the pieces of yourself. You can be broken, but God can still use you. You can be beautiful. Mommy is here. She has gone through so much and she's a lot now. She's blessing lives. God is using her to bless a lot of people. And we have gone through so much and we are blessing lives too. Yes, as we go through the process of healing. And I believe strongly that God will help us in this journey. Yes, God has to, you cannot do it on your own because left for me, there's a lot of bad things I wanted to do. So yes, you can't do it on your own, right? So allow God to take you through the process. Thank you so much for watching and for
let me add, sorry, before she round up, do not and if you've gone through all of this, do not say you want to vent it on others. You want to pour it. You will only be a bitter person.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
will only be bitter. You find out your every little thing, you're upset, you're but
Edgy.
yeah, your pain and unforgiveness makes you grow old.
That's it. That's true.
You
That's
just
true.
you just see that you're growing veins on your forehead everywhere. You
Even
just
all this
grow
BP,
old.
whatever.
Yes. So please, you see, if you forgive, right? If you forgive and you let it out, you would be a blessing. You would help other people in because what I've been through with all of that, when I see someone that has been through some or is going through because of what I've
Lots of
I
encouragement.
I know
Yes, that you're
I
coming.
just get to understand. And with the little knowledge I have, I talk to that person. So please do yourself a favor and let's go. It's hard,
Totally.
but
It's
with
hard.
God,
That's true.
you can.
Things are possible. Thank you so much. All right, do well to subscribe if you are yet to subscribe. This is too much for only you to to eat. Please do well to share with others. Be the reason why someone will be blessed and someone will go through this healing process. Subscribe, like, and share. God bless you, and see you at the next episode. Bye.